God, if you're moving, if you're called, you're moving. I remember in high school, I don't know if you had this, in high school, they once gave us a vocational test to say, what is your calling? What's going to be your vocation? What do you tend to do? What are you going to be good at in life? I don't know if you took it. Anybody take that? You did. How did it work out? Was it accurate? Well, the thing is, I remember that, and then they called your parents. At least they had my parents come into the class. That's like that. I mean, to have your parents come into school, it's like two universes that should not collide. It just wasn't right. I remember sitting in a room with my parents, and the guidance counselor is going over the results, and I don't remember a lot about that day. But I remember that my guidance counselor did not say, Mr. and Mrs. Cahn, our vocational tests show you that your son, Jonathan, is best suited to lead a messianic ministry and preach the gospel. If I did, my parents would have passed out. When I went to my high school reunion and they asked what I was doing the first times, none of them said, oh, yeah, I knew you'd end up there. I told you back when we were at that Rolling Stones concert in Madison Square Garden, you're going to be a messianic leader. I told you that. The reaction was, you? What? You're the last person. I remember I took that vocation. You know what the word vocation, what's your vocation? You know what the word vocation comes from? Vocal, voice. It means to be called. So when you have a vocation, it's saying, I have a calling. The world gets that really from this. They'll say your vocation, but your vocation doesn't mean your job or your career. It means my calling. And if you have a call, think about it. The world uses this word, you got a vocation, a calling. Well, if you have a calling, somebody has to be calling you. And someone is calling you. So my vocation could never be realized until I realized that somebody was calling me. That was my vocation. I finally answered it. Does God have a plan? Yes, he does. Does God have a plan for your life? Yes, he does. God says, I know the plans. And what happens in your life is a mix of, between how much you're saying yes to that plan and how much you're kind of doing things on your own. There is a path. I know the plans, God says. And the word in Hebrew, machashaba, try it. It's a tough, has to involve. Mahashaba literally means, it's not hype, it's not people, they say things to make you feel good. The Hebrew literally means an intricately woven thing. I mean, it's intricately. God has a plan that is intricately woven. It says in the epistles, it says, he has prepared good works for us, that we might enter into them. It means it's almost like God has an entire plan, not just a general plan, but a specific plan for your life. Someone's got a calling, and you cannot make up your own calling. You cannot, and that's why before I knew the Lord, and you too, I'm sure you tried to make your life what you wanted it to be. It ends up being a mess. And yet when you say yes to God and you're not trying to control and pull all the strings, it comes together. There is a plan. It is not from you. It is from the Lord. Only the one who made you can give you a calling. And only he can give you the purpose for which you were conceived in your mother's womb. Sometimes I call up the building, and we have many lines, voice boxes, taped, whatever, direct line, answer machine, faxes. Yet half the time I can't reach my own secretary. And I'm calling, for those who know her, Gladys, and most of my conversation consists of, Gladys, are you there? Pick up. Are you there? Pick up. Where are you? Pick up. I try another line. It says, sorry, the caller does not accept calls with unlisted numbers. So then I do this. Then I do another one, and it's a fax line. And then I do another one. Finally, I send her an email saying, listen to your voicemail. So finally, she gets it a few hours later, listens to the voicemail, and it says, Gladys, where are you? And finally, she calls me. She says, I'm here. What do you want? I said, what do I want? I forgot. We call it a day, and that's about it. The point is, there are two parts to a calling. We talk about a calling, but we often don't talk about the other part. Calling has two parts. One part is the calling. The other part is the answering of the calling. It's never just a calling. It says it's not passive. It says you are partakers in a holy calling. And that means it is an active thing. You have to totally get yourself into it. God has a calling, and I'm totally seeking to answer that call. We talk about being called. I'm called to this. I'm called to this ministry. But there's little talk about answering. It's as if, imagine you're calling up a friend, and they're sitting around with other people, And you're calling, and they see you on the line, and they say, yes, I'm being called. I'm being called. But they never pick up the phone. It doesn't do any good for God to call you if you don't answer the call. It doesn't do any good. And in fact, God cannot even call you to greater and greater things until you answer what he called you to.